Can I ask you a question that almost nobody asks successful people? How do you actually feel? I'm not asking about what your LinkedIn profile says or what your bank account says, not the version of yourself you present to the world. I mean, right now, in your body, in your mind, in your heart, when nobody's watching, when you're by yourself, how do you feel? Over the last 30 years, I have had the privilege of working with founders, CEOs, entrepreneurs, athletes and leaders. People who from the outside seem to have everything. But when their space feels safe enough for the truth, the answers are surprisingly similar. I'm exhausted. I feel empty. I don't know why I'm doing this anymore. I have achieved everything I wanted. So why don't I feel happier? If you have ever felt that way, I want you to pause, take a deep breath and hear me out. Because the problem may not be that you need more success. It is because your brain was never designed to find lasting fulfillment there. Hi champion. Welcome to this channel. I'm Dr. Meghna Dikshit, author of the book You Matter. On this channel, we bring interesting understanding of the brain and the mind. And we bridge the gap between ancient Indian science and modern psychology. Through our videos, we help you break free from your own limitations and live a life of freedom of joy. If you have not yet subscribed, hit that subscribe button and let's dive deep today. Into most people think dopamine is the brain's happiness chemical. What if it is not? Dopamine is much closer to the chemical of anticipation or the wanting chemical. When you're working toward a goal, dopamine is high. It feels amazing. You're energized, focused, alive. It is what gets you excited about what is next. It is what keeps you chasing, working, building, striving. And then something interesting happens. You achieve the goal and almost immediately your brain begins adapting. Neuroscientist Ken Berridge has spent decades studying the difference between wanting and liking. Wanting is a drive to pursue something. Liking is a genuine experience of enjoying it, and the two are not the same. High achievers almost universally have overdeveloped wanting systems and underdeveloped liking systems. They are magnificent at chasing, they are terrible at arriving. That's why the promotion that took 5 years to earn feels normal within weeks. The revenue milestone becomes a new baseline. The dream house eventually just becomes the house. Psychologists call this the hedonic treadmill. You keep running, you keep achieving, you feel a brief spike and the baseline resets. And the only way to feel that spike again is to run harder toward the next thing, and so the finish line keeps moving. And after a while, achievement starts feeling less like fulfillment and more like maintenance. Now let me be clear. Ambition is not the problem. There's a version of ambition that is beautiful. It is driven by curiosity, by a desire to contribute, by genuine love of the craft. Some of the most inspiring people I have ever met are deeply ambitious. This comes from a sense of purpose, from curiosity. But there is another kind of ambition. It looks identical from the outside, but inside it is driven by fear. Fear of being ordinary, fear of being found out, fear of disappointing people, fear that if you stop, you will stop mattering. Over the years, when I work with clients who have been high performers for a decade or more, I often find a wound underneath the ambition. Underneath many extraordinary careers is an ordinary human story. A child who was only loved when they performed. A teenager who discovered that achievement was the safest way to manage a chaotic home. An adult who slowly began believing I'm only as valuable as my next achievement. This is achievement as self-punishment. And it never satisfies because the original wound is not about achievement. It is about worthiness. And while every success provides temporary relief, it never brings permanent peace. This is a conversation I think we need to have more often. The crisis that comes after success. Because sometimes the hardest moment is not climbing the mountain, it's standing on top of it. You've built the company, written the book, won the award, achieved the target. Reach the number you thought would finally make you feel secure. And then a quiet question appears. Now what? If I'm not striving for this, who am I? When our identity is built entirely around performance and achievement, the achievement becomes the self. And when the achievement plateaus, or worse, when we reach it, the self has nowhere to go. This is not a motivation problem. It's an identity problem and it needs an identity solution. So what does rebuilding identity actually look like? It can't be another motivation hack, not a bigger goal. It needs to be something much deeper, something more fundamental. I recommend 3 practices for the people I work with, and they have consistently delivered great results. First, build your capacity for presence, not just progress. Spend time in nature, create art, have conversations with no agenda. Learn to enjoy moments that don't earn you anything. These are not distractions. They are how your brain remembers what satisfaction feels like. Second, separate who you are from what you do. Ask yourself a difficult question. Who am I when I am not achieving? It's uncomfortable, but it might be the most important question you will ever answer. And finally, shift your focus from accomplishment to contribution. Research on purpose consistently shows that long-term well-being comes less from what we accumulate and more from what we give. Success is not the enemy. Making success your entire identity is the bigger enemy. Because you are never meant to be loved only for what you do. You are always more than your performance. If this resonated with you, I want you to sit with one question before you move on with your day. If nobody appreciated my achievements tomorrow, who would I still choose to be? The answer to that question might tell you more about your future happiness than your next promotion ever could. And if you know someone who's successful on the outside but quietly struggling on the inside, share this video with them. Sometimes successful people are the ones who need permission to stop running for a moment.